Pete, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Absolutely. Excited to be here.
The name of the series is All Roads Lead to Pullman,
Okay.
because I believe that everybody has a story on how they got here. This is not a town that you arrive at by accident. No one just drifts through. You're either here to start a career, advance a
Right.
career, get a degree, to make something better.
Yep.
So what's your story? What's your road to Pullman?
My story. Well, I was brainwashed at a young age to being a Husky fan.
Oh,
And yeah,
cool.
brutal when I was a child, but thankfully years later, I originally left high school, went to Oregon to go to chiropractic school was my goal and my plan. And my wife and I at the time, I had two mentors. And after years and years of being in their practices, they were unfaithful in their relationships. And my wife and I talked about that. We kind of prayed about that, went through things and said, this isn't for us.
Yeah.
And I
You
knew
want to partner with that.
Yeah, my brother-in-law is a veterinary pathologist at WSU. He's been here since the 80s. Just a phenomenal relationship with WSU, and he had a big influence on us coming this direction. And so I knew I wasn't going to go to the purple and gold place. The city is not for me. We love the country. And so I transferred to WSU. Originally thought I was going to be a school teacher when I first came here, kind of looked into it and seen one video that I was like, nope, this isn't for me, and went into business and tripped and fell, and we fell in love with the area. Been here ever since.
Wow. What year was that?
Well, let's see. We got here in 2000, and I graduated WSU in 2003. So
And you were here as an undergraduate.
yeah, undergrad. Yeah, I transferred in. So, and when you're in chiropractic school, those credits don't transfer. So I always joke and say I've got a doctor's amount of college and a 4-year degree. So
Well, most of us have a twisty, turvy path.
absolutely.
How has Pullman changed during the time you've been here?
I would argue significantly. Back then as a student and a young person, and married young, at 21 years old, we didn't really pay attention to politics. We didn't pay attention to legislation. We didn't look at what's going on in the town or the city or any of those things. It was more about survival and figuring out how to make money and get through college and financially survive. And so, you're watching kind of Pullman at its peak, where it was really doing some amazing things, and some of those challenges where today I think we're a community that has a lot to work toward. And so it's changed significantly throughout the years, but I think as any community does, it takes people and community and trust in what we're doing in order to be able to make those changes.
Yeah, when you say a lot to walk towards, so what are you referring to?
We want to bring back the magic to Pullman. Somebody told me that in a roundtable meeting that we had when I was a chamber member, and I heard that statement, and I said, that you just hit the nail on the head. I said, that is exactly what we're missing, because when I first came here, it was this magical, beautiful place that I just loved. We were downtown all the time. I even remember when the downtown bars were more often visited than the ones up on campus, way back when. And I remember when Shermer's had the bus that used to take people to and from campus. And, even though you'd see things in the newspaper, it was a positive experience for a lot of folks. And a lot of that is changing. So I'm excited to be a part of today, as part of the chamber, the success of bringing back that magic to Pullman.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So during your time here, you've had a couple of different things you've been involved in.
Yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned your earlier time with Dabco.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Dabco, and you'll never hear me talk poorly about them in public or in private. I love that company. I love the people that run that company. I have a passion for housing. I literally tripped and fell into it coming out of college. I didn't know what I was going to do. My degree was in professional and technical writing. My minor was in wildlife and natural resources. I didn't know what I was going to do as a grown-up, So I was given an opportunity as a leasing agent for a company that still exists in Pullman, and very different today than it was back then. It had a different owner then. And they had 560 some units total between Moscow and Pullman, and like 300 of those were empty. In the first 60 days of my job, I filled them all. And that's when I knew I had a knack and a niche to be able to move into something as a career. And that took me down the road. I went into affordable housing. I was in that for 17 years, and then went back into conventional housing, and then continued to work my way up I was an executive vice president at one company. I was regional vice president, and then
So
to
kind of done it all.
yep,
So
and then
how
to
many years did
partnership
you
with
work
Rapco.
in how many years did you work in housing?
Holy smokes. 01 to 25. So 24 years in housing.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
So you got a pretty good finger on the pulse of
very
what that
much so.
looks like here on the Palouse.
Yeah, I would argue I am one of the experts in housing
I
on the
love that.
Palouse.
Well, thank you for talking with me today. But the main reason we're here is because you just started a brand new role at Pullman Chamber of Commerce.
New career, yeah. Yeah.
For those who don't already know, like at its best, what is a Chamber of Commerce supposed to do?
Well, it's interesting. Prior to taking the role at the chamber, I didn't even know what an executive director did necessarily, but I have a plethora of business experience, C-suite knowledge, and leadership, right? And so I thought, well, if I could pair that with whatever the role is, we can figure this out. And one of the neatest things for me is when I get into something, I just start to research and look at, how does this work? How does that work? And one of the things I jumped into right away was a 501c6. And a 501c6 is what the chamber is, and that is a focus on members and business.
Right.
And so when I was reading through this and I look at it and I go, oh, now I understand. The chamber has membership. There are membership dues, and your time, effort, money goes back into business. And that spoke to me. And that's a lot of where our focus came from for our recent luncheon and the direction that we want to go.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping we get to talk more about that. 'Cause
Oh,
I'm
for sure.
excited about
Yeah.
it.
So like I'm a small business owner here
Yeah.
on the Palouse. I pay dues into the chamber. What is the
Love it.
chamber doing with that? And how is the chamber advocating
Yeah, that's what I like.
for the business community?
So, from years past, I can't speak to where we've been, but I can speak to where we're going. And that is to refocus our efforts to make sure that we are business driven. And what I mean by that is we want to know what the challenges and issues and what the successes of Pullman businesses are. There is an issue that's going on now, and I will be at City Council next Tuesday if you want to be a part of that, come out and hear what we're talking about. But and we are looking to open lines of communication with folks like the city, as an example, and meet with some of the amazing, fantastic human beings that they have at the city. And it's funny. There's this dichotomy that folks look at and they go, "Oh, the city this or the city that," and I just look at it and go, it's not been my experience with them. I've met individuals that are so dedicated to what they want to do and how, and I feel the same about the chamber. And I say, okay, well, I want to tap into how you feel and what you want to accomplish with what we want to do with local business. And let's work together, open lines of communication, and figure out what we have to do this together.
So at the most recent chamber lunch, you signaled that the Pullman Chamber of Commerce is turning a new page. You talked about
Absolutely.
bringing back the magic.
Yeah.
Your talk was called A Season of Change.
Correct.
What can the community expect under your leadership?
They can expect a few things. So first and foremost, we want to advocate for some large, the chamber isn't at a capacity where we can say, hey, we're going to work with big venues and bring in new concerts to Pullman.
Sure.
But what
That's
we
a
can do,
bigger lift than
correct.
a 501c6.
That's right. But what we can do is advocate and work with and be a part of a partnership to bring those things back.
Okay.
And what we're going to do first and foremost is find a way to educate ourselves, which I've already met an individual that does this himself professionally in Moscow at U of I. And we're having lunch in September. We're going to sit down and start talking about different things and how that stuff works, right? So that we can pull those things together. Outside of large venues, we want to start looking at what makes our community tick and how can we bring some of this stuff back. So the business after hours is starting to highlight businesses. I actually had an idea today that I haven't talked to Madeline about, but I think she'll be excited about. I want to start putting in, we get some significant radio ads on a monthly basis where I go up to KQQQ and visit with them, put our radio ads on. And I would like to do one that is, about the chamber focused. And the other one, I'd like to start highlighting businesses. It's extra advertising, but it would be a member benefit to say, hey, Adam, we love what you're doing. We're excited about it.
Yeah.
you have an event coming up or you have something going on, let us plug that for you, you know, as part of this partnership and relationship. The other thing that I missed, due to a couple just running out of time at that, is we're going to start to, another member benefit is to utilize our conference space. So that'll be a free service for anybody that needs a conference room for any reason. And if they're a chamber member, then we want you to schedule that with us and use our space. And so we're going to be rehabbing that so that, you know, we've already got a TV and a whiteboard. And
Hey,
that are
love that.
happening.
Love that. So there's plenty of little things
Little things that are moving on.
Let's zoom way out.
Okay.
I asked this earlier, not just in Pullman, but in any community. What is the role of the Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah.
What is the Chamber of Commerce supposed to do for our community?
Support local business and help it to thrive. That's what we do. That's what we're here for. And that's what we need to get back to doing. We need to focus on business, not on large scale, you know, grandiose idea programs, none of that. We're going to focus on how to bring foot traffic and business and success to Pullman. That's what we want. And that's what this chamber is going to do moving forward.
And man, coming post-COVID a few years now, we could really use that.
Amen.
We could really use that.
We want to see buildings full. We want to see thriving businesses, and we want to see businesses that people want in Pullman. The other thing that is part of this is the chamber also wants to partner with whatever entity we can to get educated. I mentioned RJ Lott and RJ and I talked about going to one of these conferences together to learn how to bring big business to Pullman. Whether that, you know, we think of like a Trader Joe's as an example.
That sounds like economic development.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And that is definitely not my strength, but I have a passion for filling buildings. So see what we can do.
Fantastic. Well, I remember when I came to this area 25 years ago, I was a freshman at U of I, and I remember I was very involved on campus.
Yeah.
I was that guy. I was in all the clubs. I was in student government. I would
Love it.
very, very involved. In the early 2000s, we never went to downtown Moscow. We never went to downtown Moscow because in the 2000s, downtown Moscow looked like downtown Pullman today.
Correct.
Right?
That's right.
And so in the span of 20 years, things have swung in our neighbors to the east, which actually gives me a lot of hope because that shows that's possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you look at our downtown, we love the businesses we have. We wish we had more of them.
Sure.
Wish we had fewer vacancies. Yeah. What do you think is possible
with downtown?
With the downtown business community here in Pullman?
I had someone tell me today, where I was in a meeting this morning, and they said, you know, we have a bakery that is in downtown, but she said, I don't remember walking by and ever smelling the smells of a bakery early in the morning.
Come to think of it, I can't ever remember smelling anything either.
If we can go in those and introduce ourselves and visit with some businesses that are in downtown and saying, you know, let us communicate together to talk about what potentially could be successful as a community and define what downtown could look like, businesses thriving, you know, those sorts of things. But men's clothing stores, we have a lot of women's clothing stores. We have no men's clothing stores here, right? Not saying that might be a big booming business. I have no idea, but it's something that we're lacking that could be beneficial to us. We need downtown eventually. We have some amazing companies downtown, and Bobby is doing some things that are just
Bobby Ryder, downtown Pullman.
Yes, association. She's just, I adore her. I just think she's an incredible human being.
Full of ideas and full of energy.
Yeah, and that's the energy this community needs in order for us to thrive. And so I think I put my trust and faith in her and the DPA, and I think things are going to move forward. But if we can be a part of visiting and working through things to better understand what's needed and how to get there, like the smells of a bakery, you know, I think that's awesome. Let's do it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think I remember reading a long time ago that something about the mechanics of the ventilation in a McDonald's, where they make sure the smells coming off of the fry oil goes towards the parking lot, not away. Maybe there's something we can do there.
What great marketing
with Sugar Bakery.
Yeah.
Well, beyond just the types of businesses we want to see in downtown, like what do you think the future of our relationship with the community looks like in our downtown district? You know, students don't come down the hill now. we'd like to see that change. What do you
Yeah.
think it's going to take to get more foot traffic in our community?
I was in a meeting, and one of the council members that was in this meeting, he said something that resonated with me, and he said, right now I believe
With you?
yeah, resonated with me. Thank you. He said, right now I believe that Pullman is prime for change, and I couldn't agree more with him. And I
Totally.
think,
Totally.
if there's going to be change, now's the time to do it. And so I think coming together and talking community and getting people involved and really challenging folks, like yourself, like anybody else in our community, to step up, volunteer their time, get involved, be a part of a board, be a part of a committee, be a part of something. Say it's downtown, go offer your services to Bobby, or go offer your services to another organization, nonprofit. Anything that can start to drive activity is going to start to help our community continue to grow.
What do you think it's going to take to help rebuild the town gown relationship with the university? Because it's been rocky. It's been much better. It's also been far worse, right?
I That's one of those things I don't have a ton of experience until I joined.
Okay.
And I was asked to join when I was still with Dabco, and happily do so as a business representative in our community. And there are some things about Town and Gown that I just thought I'm like, wow, I didn't even know this, secret organization. That's what it felt like at
It's
the
it's
time.
a recent thing.
Yeah, and it's really turning a corner. I have heard rumored that WSU is getting involved heavily in the future. I'm excited to see what changes come and to hopefully be a part of that success. But how neat would it be if we had a community, a city, a WSU, any other larger entities that want to be a part and really commit to giving back to Pullman,
Right.
as a whole, whether that's bringing college kids off campus or if it's putting, community members on campus. Let's figure out what that looks like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's going to take time. There's no
Yeah.
easy button for that relationship.
Right. No.
If you look over at our neighbors to the east with the University of Idaho and the city of Moscow,
Yeah.
they have all the same amenities on their campus that we have on ours.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
One big difference is we have steeper hills, so it's a little bit more of a walk,
Yeah.
right, to come down. I remember a few years ago, gosh, I think it was like 2012, they did a massive renovation of the Cub, and all of the restaurants in the center core of campus were shut down. And I remember that being a pretty good time for downtown businesses.
Right.
And there was at least one downtown fast food place that closed their doors the day the Cub reopened.
Oh, was there?
Didn't even tell their staff.
Huh.
Didn't like the day the Cub reopened, they said, here's your last check.
Yeah.
Done.
I'll be
Right.
darned.
Just because that's how traffic flows in our community.
Yeah.
And until we give people a reason to come off the hill,
Sure.
I don't think they're going to.
Sure.
And it's going to take a while to develop those new
Yeah.
relationships. So I'm excited to see what kind of new ideas come out
Yeah.
in the next few years, so that WSU is a little less of an island on the hill, right? And we give more of a reason for traffic to flow throughout the whole community. Because I'm convinced that if the students discovered the magic of our parks, of
Yep.
our downtown, of our trail system,
Yeah.
that becomes a strength for the university.
Absolutely.
It gives them more of a reason to spread out and more of a reason to come here.
Well, and when you're looking at colleges, WSU doesn't jump out and you go, gosh, I want to go live in the middle of a wheat field, right? But it means something to be a kook. And I challenge anybody to come here and spend the time and like yourself, like me, I moved here, I never left. I fell in love with it. And so many more people will if they give Pullman that opportunity for long-term raising a family.
Total.
Yeah, I just read something that said we have one of the safest communities and campuses, and that WSU is like a number one choice when it comes to safety and all the above. So
And student satisfaction.
students happy. Yeah. So there's something there, right? So
Obviously, and we've all had the experience at a regional or world airport. See someone wearing a cougar outfit.
Yeah.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
It's real.
Yep, I got it in Honolulu just 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
I got it once in Dubai.
Is that right?
Yeah, Middle East. Yeah, pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Pretty cool. But for the longest time, for decades, maybe even a century,
Yeah.
we were a university town that had a community off to the side, but it was
Sure.
pretty much everything rose and fell with WSU.
Yeah.
If anything, the Pullman economy is more diversified now than it's ever been.
Sure.
And I've heard people talk about how now we are a community that has a college rather than a college that has a community.
Community, sure.
Exactly. And WSU has gone on had some hard times the last few years.
They're changing.
Enrollment is down. We've got some new leadership in there.
Yeah.
I'm excited about what's happening. So
Super
I see
about that.
I see some upside
Yeah.
coming, but I would love for us to get in a place where the vitality of Pullman is not tied to the vitality of the university,
Sure.
where we can weather those ups and downs a little bit more.
Yeah.
And what that's going to take is obviously the success of our large employers.
Yeah.
We're grateful for Schweitzer.
Yep.
We're grateful for
The
Meter,
hospital, the school districts,
Exactly.
and all of
But it's going to take more than that. What do you see the business community needing to get to in, say, 10, 20 years? Look way down the road. What do we need to become as a business community so that we're not tied to like this one horse town mentality?
Yeah.
Or if WSU goes through cuts, that doesn't torpedo our economy.
When there's something negative that is so in the focus of everyone, you get tunnel vision as an example. Right now, it's our downtown has some empty buildings, right? So, or you can look at the movie theater, Pullman Building Supply, some of those where, and you start to look at this negative, we get caught in that realm of negativity. Pullman, if we're going to survive long term, we have to love where we live. And I steal that a little from DAPCO because that's a slogan that was so important to us, right? We want people, the experience that they have when they come and live here, to be so positive that it's something that they tell someone else about. If we're going to survive 10, 20 years down the road and have a booming businesses in Pullman, we have to change the way that we talk about Pullman. We have to change the way we talk about our neighbor's business, right? Change the way we talk about empty buildings that have been downtown forever. It doesn't have to be a negative thing, but it's been a negative thing for so long, right? So let's flip the script on that and find what is important to us rather than what drives us nuts. And sometimes a glass that's half empty is easier to pick on than a glass that's half full.
That's amazing. I love that. Let's dig into that a little bit.
Sure.
Because the negativity is real.
It is,
right?
100%.
So everybody in town has an opinion about the Mimosa Building.
Yep.
Everyone loves complaining about the Mimosa Building. Just in the last few weeks, the owners of that facility put a beautiful new coat of paint.
Gorgeous.
Game changing.
Yep.
I cannot think of a single person
Yep.
who has commented positively about it.
Yeah. I've heard some great positivity. Bobby Ryder.
Sure,
talks about
but
positive.
like considering how much negativity was out there, you'd think we would throw them a parade
Amen.
for repaint that building.
Yeah, I get it. I have heard some comments like, well, how come they didn't do that right? Well,
Yeah.
why are we focusing on that?
Exactly.
That makes zero sense to me whatsoever.
So what are some of the bright points that you think we need to zero in on as we try and rediscover the magic of Pullman?
When we're talking to somebody face to face, it's easier to be positive.
Yeah.
Where it's more difficult is when people read something they don't like online and they start posting something negative. And if we're going to rediscover the magic, we have to turn that around. There has to be a way to say, find something we like about it. Or like myself, say, you know what? That's not been my experience with that. That's not been my experience with that. And find a way to talk about, what do you like about it? Could we challenge ourselves about whatever that topic is, whatever that is, whether that's downtown, whether that's the Mimosa Building, whether that's the fact that we don't have a movie theater, or, could we redo something and go, oh man, you know what? You're right. We don't have this, but you know what we do have? And we love that. And it's a difficult thing to do, but it's going to take all of us working together to do it, to get back to where we need to be.
I agree. I think about welcoming as being the one thing that we can all do,
Yes.
right? Regardless of what our job is,
Yeah.
regardless how much money we have, we can all be hospitable
Right.
when it comes to welcoming people to our community. I recently was with my son who just graduated high school, and we were doing the college tour.
Yeah.
And we toured a bunch of colleges, including our local ones. And I gotta say, I wasn't feeling the magic with the welcoming at WSU, and we're making a video about it. You'll hear about that soon.
All right.
But I'm actually optimistic because I know what it could be.
Yeah.
I know there's been times when the university was great at welcoming.
Yeah.
And part of the message I'm trying to take with this is that it's not just up to the university to welcome people to Pullman. It's all of our job.
Yeah, that's right.
We're all brand ambassadors
Yeah.
for the community of Pullman.
What do people like to talk most about? They like to talk most about themselves or their community or whatever, right? I mean, it just tends to be what people do. It's what we know best, right? So if we can get folks, when you say, "Oh, you live from Pullman? Oh, why are you in Pullman?" Right? A lot of times we're gonna go, "Oh gosh, I fell in love with it. I just stayed there, blah blah blah." But well, what's so great about it? Well, right now we've got empty buildings, and we tend to do that, right? But could we look at that differently and say, why are you still in Pullman? Because I chose to raise my family here. My kids were born and raised here. We have one of the best hospitals that you've ever attended, ever gone to, ever anything.
Amen.
If you want good care, go to Pullman Regional Hospital. And that's not a plug. That's how I feel. That's what I believe, right? We have one of the largest companies in Schweitzer Engineering Laboratories that entrusted the success of their business to Pullman, to the Palouse, right? And to the Pullman, Washington.
And the nation's power grid.
That's right. The nation's power grid.
Security
right?
to Schweitzer Engineering.
That's correct. And so, yes, Washington State University is here. Yes, they can be a powerhouse. They've been a powerhouse college in the past. They can be a powerhouse college in the future. But there's so many incredible things that we have here. We just have to be able to tap into it and look at it in a way that goes, I want to be a part of Pullman. I want to see Pullman be successful, and I'm going to do my part to make sure that happens. And that is not the salesman, Pete. That is what I believe. That is what my heart is, and that's what I'm excited to bring to the chamber.
Well, I like talking to salesman Pete. Pretend I'm not here and I'm not hosting a show called All Roads Lead to Pullman. What's your elevator pitch for Pullman? What do you love about this community?
The people, the beauty, and the college. I'm a big Coug fan through and through. I told you I was brainwashed as a child, but I got right later on in life. Figured it out. Yeah.
You saw the light.
That's right. And honestly, the sporting events, having them in our backyard and the opportunity to be able to go and support Cougs.
Oh, it's
where Cougs are. Come on. It's so much fun. So much fun. Yeah.
So what do you tell people people who aren't from around here, when they talk about, hey, I'm thinking about relocating to a new city. I'm thinking about taking a new job. I'm thinking about relocating a company.
Yeah.
What's your pitch for our region?
I think it depends really, because if it's specific to this, if they're looking to relocate specifically to Pullman, then I'm going to start to pitch what the magic of Pullman has been and what it's going to be in the future, right? But Pullman's not for everybody. And
it's true.
It's important to recognize, who do we want to attract and who don't we want to attract, right? We want to attract somebody who is about community, is okay with waving at people as you drive by. I mean, how many communities, my uncle, when he moved out here many years ago, he said, hey, I think I look like somebody that lives around here. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, everybody waves at me everywhere I go. And I go, Unc, they're just saying hi. And he's like, what? Moving from the city, he couldn't believe that, and that's who we want to attract. That's who we want. It's doing business on a handshake, looking somebody in the eye and following through with what you say, right? Don't make it about puffs and dreams and bogus BS. Make it about what's real. And that's what Pullman delivers on.
Yeah, I love that. Let's circle back to the chamber and your role with the chamber. What made you want to accept this job?
Well, I have personal reasons behind this.
Okay, let's face it, you're filling some big shoes.
Yep.
Like what?
I
want to take this.
My resume is very, very strong on the housing side, on the property management side. Yep. And I could have taken that anywhere I wanted. I had a job offer in Bozeman, Montana, as an example, which was significantly more financial success there than the Pullman Chamber of Commerce. But my wife and I took on the responsibility of end-of-life care of my parents a little over 3.5 years ago. My parents are in good health currently now. Their doctors are well established, and that was one of the biggest reasons, outside of just being passionate about Pullman and loving the Palouse, of what held us here, or what kept us here. We were looking for a reason to not sell our house. We were looking for a reason to not move to Montana and uproot ourselves, my folks, their doctors, all the above. And my wife's folks live in Palouse, doing amazing. They're doing very well, but at some point in time in life, we will be there for them as well. And so we thought, how do we continue this beautiful life that we've made and done here in Pullman and keep it going? And when I received the phone call about this position and being a board member, I was part of when Marie stepped away. I had no interest in her position or job. In fact, I didn't know I was going to be leaving Dabco at the time. But when a door closes, a window opens, and that's how it came together. And my wife and I talked about it, and we sat down, and we prayed about it, we looked at it, we talked about it some more, and we said, I don't know why, but I need to take this role. I literally cannot tell you. I- I'm I am learning and trying to be obedient, and you can take that however you want. But for me, that is a faith thing, and I don't know where it's going to go. But I've committed to 2 years, and I talked with a mentor just recently who has been an executive director for many, many, many years, 30, 40 years. And after talking with them, I asked him, I said, Is this something I can make a career out of? Because I have a career. Is this something I should consider? And he gave me so much more to look at and think about and do that it made me look at the chamber and the position as something different than I did the day before, if that makes sense. So I'm
No.
excited about it. So
What was different?
from his perspective and his 40 years of experience and breaking down kind of his track record goal, where it's taken him, how he got there, the people he's gotten to meet, all the above, and more so the effect that he's had on the positive side of his career and his industry and business. And that is where I went, because I've always wanted to be involved. That's why I joined so many different boards that I was, United Way of Whitman County, and even the foundation board at the hospital, the chamber board, all the above. And I actually sit on a homeless housing committee as well for Pullman, and looking forward to seeing where that goes into the future, town and gown. So just being involved, right? And through that, I think my favorite, and I blame Marie because she's the one that got me involved in it, is government affairs. And she's the one that brought me to the table. I didn't know much about government then, and I can't get enough of it now. Like, I just keep gobbling it up. Yeah. So, and that's what landed me here, and that's what's keeping me motivated to move forward.
I like that you've got a strong why that's tied to making the community a better place.
Yeah.
I love that. The chamber has multiple facets to its mission,
Yes.
and multiple funding streams as well. One of the funding streams is there's a tourism contract
There
from
is.
the city of Pullman.
Yep.
That gives resources to an entity. Anyone can bid on it.
Yep.
The chamber has that contract right now.
Correct.
For tourism.
Yes.
What does that look like under the Pete administration?
Well, I will be
What is that money?
fully transparent.
Yeah.
It is going to be my biggest learning curve. Right?
Okay.
The difference is I'm not afraid to learn.
Yeah.
You throw me in the middle of it in this mix, and let's see what happens. We've had a great tourism director who's done a phenomenal job. Things like the Lentil Festival and the 4th of July, but there's so much community that comes together to help make those events happen.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to meet with those folks into the future. And how does this wheel turn? In taking an executive director who was in this role prior to me for 16 years, pretty soon things are a well-oiled machine, and then how to do it and when to do it. It's so brand new to me that we talk about drinking from a fire hose, and so I'm just learning as we go into it. The future of tourism for Pete is to, one, better understand how we can serve our community through tourism. What does that mean? And I don't have the answer today. Ask me again in a year, and let's relook at that, because I'm excited to see where it takes us. The second piece is looking at the programs that we currently have in place, and then how involved are our businesses? How is this affecting our business? And is it in a good light, or could it be improved upon? And I don't know the answer to that either. It's just something that bangs around in my brain to figure out. And so over the next year, I want to better understand things like the Lentil Festival. If we can bring back the Three Forks Art Fest, though, if we can get back on board with that, which was canceled last year due to some unforeseen circumstances, but looking forward to see if we can bring that back. Of course, we have cabaret, which is not tourism, but that's our plug to grow things and keep things moving in the right direction. So right now, I don't have a solid answer for you. Give me a year, let me learn, let me get through this, and I hope to have something that'll blow your socks off in a year from now.
Well, let's circle back in a year because I truly believe that tourism is one of our great untapped opportunities.
Yes.
I think we underestimate how many people want to come to our backyard,
I agree.
right? We live here, we get used to the beauty, we get used to this idyllic pastoral environment,
Yeah.
and it just becomes noise after a while.
Well, you can tell from my physique, I'm a, hardcore runner. And I learned recently that apparently people love to run, and the Palouse is a place that people would come because of our rolling hills and what you can see and what's out there. And
Not
we
just
would
running, but road cycling.
road cycles. Yeah,
Destination.
love to bring some marathons in and start looking at partnering with folks on the tourism side to see what we could do to start tapping into that, because we have this beautiful place called the Palouse, and if we can bring a program to the city of Pullman that brings tourism dollars to the city of Pullman, and we can also have an event like that, how awesome would that be?
Yeah.
Yeah, be amazing.
Something that's going on tourism related in our backyard that a lot of people aren't aware of is the cruise industry has really taken off on the Columbia and Snake Rivers.
Did not know that.
So there's cruises all over the world, right? You go to the Caribbean, you can go to Alaska, you can do the Rhine, you can do the Nile, right? Hands down, the most expensive one is the one in our backyard on the Columbia Snake.
Is that right?
Yeah, American Cruise Lines runs this crazy expensive package.
I'll be darned.
They are sold out every single voyage.
Huh.
Every single one, because it's a bucket list item,
I'll be darned.
right? For the
Yeah.
upper income people back east who have done every cruise, you just introduce a new one and you get to follow in the footsteps of Lewis and Clark.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
I've got to see their facilities. I've got to meet
And it
their
brings you inland. That we have
It comes all the way to
the furthest inland port
they just opened a new
on the
dock.
Snake.
They just opened a new dock in Lewiston.
Is there?
And they're docking the cruise ships there and doing like these little winery, like wine tasting stuff.
I love it.
And they'll do excursions. They'll load the cruisers onto buses and take them up in the mountains, show them different things. And I'm like, man,
How do we bring those folks to Pullman?
how do we get them up here and have them do like a golden hour photography tour?
Absolutely.
Take them up to Steptoe after the road gets repaired.
Yeah,
Or,
after it's
whatever it is. Like there are things that we are used to that other people would love to experience. And it's a bucket list item.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, an Instagrammable moment.
Yeah.
I think there's tons of things like that aren't tapped into yet.
Yeah.
We don't realize just what a destination this could be.
Yeah. Well, it's beautiful here.
It is.
We have 4 seasons. We have 4 real seasons, My least favorite is the Seattle season, I call it, and that is when it's just raining, and it's muddy and gross and ugly. But outside of that, I mean, when it's a blanket of snow, it's stunningly beautiful. We have the rolling wheat, right? I mean, we have the in the spring, everything's green and luscious and gorgeous, and literally the scenery changes here every 3 months.
Yep.
So it's interesting, and how we can get people here to experience that, I think, would be
Totally.
amazing.
Totally. What else are you excited about? It's your new role at the chamber.
Boy, I had to be reminded yesterday. I was at a meeting and we were visiting through some things, and I was talking about some of what we're working on, where we're going, and we're trying to do this and we're trying to do that. And on the internal side, we're trying to fix all the governance pieces, right? Making sure that we have in writing all these different processes that are going on at the chamber, and those don't exist today. So we're working on redoing that, and it's a lot of work. And I had somebody say, hey, you realize you've only been at this for 60 days, right? Like, take a breath. You're going to be okay. We have time to do this. And so, but my biggest excitement that's coming in the future, outside of learning about how invigorating it is, we had our first business after hours with Tawny at It was so much fun. Yeah. And it was fun to just run into people and see how those work, and we have another one that's coming up with Dave Harder in September. And then we just made a new connection. There's going to be one down the road with some other businesses that I could list, but probably not worth it right now, but you'll see that in the future. But our most exciting that I'm excited about to see what I can hopefully personally have an effect on is our Holiday Fest. I have heard, I've never really experienced Holiday Fest, but that it could be improved upon significantly. And so I am a holiday person. I love the holidays, and I'm excited to see what we can do to start with bringing some of the magic back. We are looking at having Santa Claus. We're looking at having maybe some snow that's going to come in. There's a lot of like story time, things like that that we're looking at. How can we redo this and really make it magical and have a moment where maybe we get to partner with some of our members to have some things like caroling and like, stuff like that. Holidays are coming, and it seems weird to talk about in August, but they're just around the corner.
Oh, we got to start planning now.
That's right.
What message do you have for the members, for the business community that have been paying dues for a long time, who maybe
Yeah.
haven't felt like, this was the best use of hard-earned dollars? What message do you have for business owners like me?
Yeah, I'm excited to work with our members and past members. I'm looking to work with and better understand, why did you leave the chamber? And the chamber shouldn't be so at a place in which it's so expensive that you can't afford to be a part of the chamber. So we want to rework and work with that as well. If somebody left because of dollars and cents, come back to us. Call me. Let's work it out together. Let's just talk about what the issue is, how best to fix it, what works for your budget, and I would rather you be a member than not be a member. Let's figure out what we need to do to do that. Why do I want you to be a member? Is it because I'm hurting for dollars and cents? No. I want you to be a member because we are going to help be a part of change in Pullman. We're going to help bring the magic back, and it is going to be business focused. 100%. We are going to look at how we can impact the lives of business owners and folks that provide services within Pullman. And if they are a chamber member, our goal is to find a way to, what do you want? What do you need? What does your business desire? And how can we support that? So whether it's through our marketing, whether it's through our website, which I cannot talk enough about. I know Madeline brought it up but there's just so much with the new website that could really benefit members, and it's just not being utilized yet. So I think we're going to look at doing a training in the future where Madeline's going to work and actually take business members and just put their data straight in while working directly with them. So hopefully we can continue to affect change and move forward into the future. And we want people to join the chamber and be a part of that success as we move forward.
What would you say to a business owner, like one of those past members, who's maybe a little bit jaded?
Sure.
And maybe feels like, I've been there, done that.
Yep.
I'm tired of either being ignored or mistreated. Like what message would you have for someone who is a little skeptical of the chamber's place?
I would say I am someone who believes in moving forward, not backwards. I can't change the past, but I can certainly affect and help change the future of where we're going. So if you're jaded and you want nothing to do with the chamber, just sit back and watch what we do. And I promise you, in your future, you will choose to join and be a part of what we're doing.
Awesome. Okay. You can zoom it out. For one last question. What's your message to the community of Pullman? People who are online saying, why don't we have a Red Lobster? Why don't we have an Olive Garden? What do you say to their malcontents out there who say that Pullman's dead and it's never coming back?
Pullman is not dead. Pullman's in a dormant state, and we're going to explode. And it just takes people who want to be part of the success and not people who want to talk and beat it up and tear it down, right? There are people like you and I who chose to be here and want to continue to see Pullman thrive and be successful in business, be successful at WSU, be successful in all areas and facets of what we do and how we do it. And so what I would tell those folks is, you know what? Put your money where your mouth is. Come see us. Be a part of our success and volunteer some time. And rather than tell us what we can't do, come and be a part of how we're going to change it. If anything, ever in my career, in my life, don't tell me I can't do something, because I'm going to find a way around it. We're going to fix it, right? Policies, procedures, contracts, there's ways to figure out how to find success and still live within the confines of those things. So.
Love that.
Yeah.
Find a way to get to yes.
That's right.
Last question. What's your prediction for what Pullman looks like in 20 years?
Oh, well, I'll probably still be here and be an old man and hopefully a grandfather by then,
Well,
but
we can be old grandpas together.
that's right. That's what I'm talking about. So
What does this town look like in 20?
20 years, I hope to see more big business in Pullman. It's time for Pullman to change. We can't, everything is changing around us. Colfax is changing. Colfax is looking better and better every day. There's some wonderful things going on there and some good people that are backing it. Moscow, obviously, right? Things are starting to happen in Moscow, and it looks great. And there's some amazing human beings. Pullman's right behind them. We're on our way. We're going to come there, and there's going to be some big businesses. Our empty businesses are going to get filled. We're going to have houses that are reasonably priced that people can afford to live in, and our young professionals are going to choose Pullman as their future rather than as a stopping point towards something else. They're going to want to build businesses here. They're going to want to raise kids here, and they're going to want to have success here. And I want to be part of that process, and I hope you are. And that's the future of Pullman.
Awesome. Well, Pete, thank you so much for taking the time.
Absolutely. Yeah. So good. I appreciate you having me and having the opportunity to visit with you.
You bet.
Yeah.